Hello and welcome to the Free Outside podcast. I was going to release an episode that I had recorded ahead of Cocodona, but this is coming out a little later because I just felt like jumping on and doing something live from the cuff. And what I'm going to do today is let's talk about should you do Cocodona 250. So registration opens in a week and I've done it 5 times now. And I just wanted to get into talking about what goes into it, what it takes, and really the why behind it all. So there's this group at the front that gets followed and lots of attention. Sometimes I'm in there, sometimes I'm not. And there's this group at the back who usually gets some focus. And this year they did a film on the cutoff. And so that'll be interesting to see. But then there's also this group in the middle, which is the mid pack. And this is sort of like what the middle class used to be, not to get political here, but it's probably where most people will live. Sometimes I drop into the middle of the pack on races. Sometimes I don't. It all depends. But that's where things are going to happen. That's where you're going to live for days on end, depending on where you are. And I think that's when you have to really battle those demons and decide, do you want to be out there doing that? Because the reasons to be out there are a lot more than the aspirational live stream or seeing the pretty sights of Sedona or Flagstaff or getting a belt buckle at the finish line or telling people that you did it. The reason to be out there is simply the fun. And this year, things did not go how I expected them to go, despite buying about 30 of those wellness recovery shots from the grocery store, thinking that would cure me. Apparently, COVID is not cured by those. I think you need to inject bleach into your veins or something like that in order to get over something like that. But the whole mindset that I have for all of these things is that I'm going to finish. The one DNF that I have is at Wasatch 100 last year. I did a podcast on it. And at about mile 65, I was stumbling, couldn't keep my eyes open, and I was falling down. Everything was really wrong. Turns out I also had COVID for that one. I just have had a really bad streak of luck with some races. But anyways, that was the only time, and my pacer told me very bluntly and thankfully, honestly, that he felt unsafe continuing with the state that I was in. So DNF that one. But COVID also hit at this race, and I talked to my crew about mile 60 before I was at the Camp Kippa aid station, and I just told them that no matter if this was going to take multiple days, I was going to try to gut it out. And so that was my why. Everything went towards getting to the finish line, even if it wasn't going to be the race I'd intended. In fact, at that point, it already wasn't going to be. I was having some breathing issues, brain fog was already there, and I was only 10 or so hours into the event. And so that's when you have to draw really deep down onto your why. Why do you want to be out there? For me, it's because there's something so fun in pushing through the unknown adversity and having one goal. My one goal was to get to the finish line. My one goal wasn't to win. I mean, that is a really cool, ancillary goal, ancillary thing to accomplish and a reason to push through all the other stuff and maybe give everything you got. But that depends on so many other things that I can't control, like the field that's out there, how I'm feeling, things on that given day, even things like drop bags didn't show up to Crown King. Like that could have impacted that goal. But the ability to get to the end was going to be firmly in my control. Maybe there was going to be a medical issue because sometimes you just don't achieve your goals. But mine was simply get to the finish line. And when I had to really look at myself and think, I can't move more than a half a mile an hour. This aid station is 2 miles away. I got the worst brain fog of my life, and I'm only 8 hours into an event. A month before, I'd run a 12-hour tune-up race and had covered nearly 80 miles in that time. So I just had to think about what are my goals of being out there. And that's what pushed me the entire way. So as you're thinking over the next week or so whether to sign up for Cocodona, just think about what the reason to be out there is. And if you were told it's going to take you 120 hours, are you still willing to be out there and doing that? Because the answer should always be yes. I get that there's things like saving yourself and whatever if you're a pro, but I don't think you should be signing up for a race unless you're content to have a subpar race and still get it done. Unless there's something that's going to linger and hurt you for days and weeks to come. The goal should be, if it's going to take way longer than you expect, then you should be willing to put up with that. And that's kind of what I was out there. Let me just take these sunglasses off. I'm not sure why I was even wearing them. And So that's my advice for Cocodona, and let's get into some strategies. So it's probably going to sell out immediately. It's a hot ticket item. It's crazy that there's not a lottery. I don't know the ins and outs of putting on this kind of race, so no issues with how they're doing it. But if you don't get in, don't worry. Just get on the wait list. Also, if you're not sure if you want to do it, but you want to have a chance to do it, just wait until they're onto the wait list till it's sold out and then jump on that wait list. Then you get a few more months to decide. So I've told a few people this, and this is a secret with athletes that I coach, is the wait list is like a holding point for now I've got more time to make my decision. So it's kind of a secret life hack here. Also, like Mammoth 200, you can jump on that wait list. A few things like that where you don't know if it's going to work in your life or with your goals or anything now because it's a year away. Just get on that wait list. You can decide maybe in September, October, whenever, when you're further from the live stream, further from the emotion, and you can think, is this really something that I want to do? Because it's going to be really hard, and it's going to be really hard in ways that you don't know. And that's something that I love and really enjoy. And I think for other people, that's something that can be a little bit more difficult. Okay, some further things with Cocodona this year. It was just so interesting to see the added attention and the added media out there that I don't know. I just don't know where the sport is heading in as far as this 250-mile scene. I think it was really cool to see someone like Ryan Sands, who has won Western States, jumping in it, but also somebody who's firmly in the push yourself to the limit type of thing, like Cam Hanes out there getting it done. Word was, I think he had like a broken foot or something. So everyone's dealing with their own things. And I think the biggest thing to think about with that is you're going to be dealing with your own thing out there, whether it's your feet hurting, whether it's blisters, knee problems, back aching, COVID, sickness, whatever. How are you going to get through those things? And are you willing to push through those things? Last year, I finished the race and had about 2 months of PT before I could really run again. So it ate into my summer. Is that something that you're willing to give up and do? Because it's a huge sacrifice, not only for yourself doing it, but also for those supporting you. Even if you don't have crew or pacers, it's going to be a big endeavor for someone to watch your kids or to miss out on going to social things with people and stuff like that. So it's a really big sacrifice, even beyond the week of Cocodona. So I want to throw that out there because I think it's something that is lesser talked about. And then one thing that I did this year that I think I'm going to kind of hang on to is I pretty much quit drinking in December. I've never struggled with drinking issues, but I just found that I wanted to come in as healthy as I could, which is ironic because I ended up getting sick. But it was a pretty eye-opening thing of how much easier life flowed, how much less anxiety I had, how my depression was even better. I could wake up and run. And this isn't like I was binge drinking, but even a beer or two just impacted my sleep quality. So this is probably something that I will keep doing. I'm not here to tell you to do anything. I have plenty of friends who drink. I have plenty of friends who are alcoholics or addicts, and I get along with both of them, and there's no issue on each side. I just wanted to bring up the anecdotal evidence that I think drinking is pretty bad. So we'll see. I do like beer, but I can't see myself diving in and drinking, every weekend having a couple beers. I can't see that being a thing where it's just a fallback into a social situation. So that was one healthy thing that I noticed this year. And then also, I want to just hit on this style that influencers are spreading about Cocodona. It is not self-supported, no matter how you do it. Like, calm down. Do you know what self-supported is? I've done 20 plus records self-supported, like the Arizona Trail, Colorado Trail. Some are unsupported too, like the John Muir Trail, Pinhoti Trail, Long Trail. So like, let's calm down with this self-supported thing. You have drop bags and you have aid stations. You are incredibly supported. So I don't care who you are, but everyone on the internet being up in arms and just being like, I can't believe XXX did it self-supported. Okay, they didn't. That is not what self-supported is. Self-supported is if you didn't use any of the aid stations, you carried what you needed for the entire way yourself, or you resupplied out of gas stations. So that is one thing that has been bothering me because people are out there doing it in so many different ways and having big influencers saying that they're doing it self-supported. It's not even easier. I've done hundreds and stuff without any support. And I guess we would call that self-supported. And you know what? My times are just as fast because it's not a faster way to do it. It actually eliminates a lot of the issues if you have a bad crew or pacers. So we're going to calm down with this self-supported talk. You're incredibly supported. The aid station volunteers are everywhere. Maybe they're not there for you specifically, but they are there for you specifically. They're there for all the runners. So self-supported, it's not a thing that anyone is doing Cocodona 250. It takes a village of volunteers putting that on, from course marking to everything. Even a normal adventure, self-supported, you wouldn't have course marking. So there we go. No one did it self-supported. Everyone who did it is amazing. And what's crazy is all six of us five-time finishers, we finished. So there were six of us four-time finishers, and we all became five-time finishers. So Brian Janzik, Aaron Fleischer, Wes Plate, Andy Glaze, myself, Jeff Garmeyer, and Jose Sosa. I think I got them all. So it's pretty incredible to just come year after year. And I've messaged a little bit with all of them lately, and it's like, well, what do we do for next year? This is pretty insane. Like, are we ever going to take a year off, or do we just keep marching on towards like a 2,500-mile buckle or something like that? Because at this point, with five of them under our belt, we've done 1,250 miles. And let's get into what brings me back every year. It's the adventure. I mean, would be pretty easy to quit. Last year, I had some tears in my Achilles at mile 45. This year, I had COVID. My crew, they all have it now. So that's unfortunate. Like, one of the pacers tested positive on Tuesday, and everyone else by Thursday had COVID. So unintentionally created a super spreader event. For that, I'm sorry. I don't know the protocol anymore with COVID. So just being real, did not mean for any of that to happen. And I didn't even know I had COVID until the end because no one told me, which I think is the right move for me. I think it's different for everyone, but it was easier for me to make a decision I didn't know I had to make. So that said, I think the reason that I keep coming back is that every year is different. I, in one sense, would say I have some bad luck with this race, but in another sense, I have good luck of being able to gut it out and finish and find a new bit of adversity along the way. Like, my race plan didn't have an in case of COVID, let's go with this protocol. It didn't. It's all about figuring things out on the fly. It's assembling people that care about you, that want you to get to the finish, and that you enjoy spending time with, because you're going to spend time with them in so many different states of yourself out there. That's got to be the why and why you want to do it. It's not about getting to the finish in that belt buckle. It's that enjoying and marinating in that discomfort and that fun while you're out there. And while it is a race, it's really a collection of individuals just pushing themselves in their own unique ways that I think is so fun. So, like, I was finally feeling healthier, weirdly, on the final day. That would have been Thursday morning or so. And I just wanted to push myself down Mount Eldon. And so we did. We ran like a 15-minute mile down the most technical downhill you guys can imagine. I imagine it was one of the faster times, maybe the fastest descent down Eldon. And it was just this little easy opportunity to find a kernel of a new way to push myself. And that is simply what Cocodona 250 is built all around. It is this way that's the most controlled and the way to find your limits for the most people possible. I think that's the beauty of it. Now let's move into golden hour here. It's my favorite time of the year. This year, 3 people came in about 30, 45 minutes before the cutoff. They all came in together. They've been on a Vision Quest for years. A little before them, some Native American runners came in. And this is when you just see the power of what these people are doing. Their pacers are yelling at them and pushing them. And they look just so beat up because they've been out there for so long, but they're so driven by this goal that they know they can accomplish, but is going to be so hard that it's really special to see them take the final steps in that goal. And then they're just so dead. But I think that's really what it's all about, is wanting to be a part of something that can cater and appreciate people that are at the front, that are at the back, and everywhere in the middle. And it is just one of those magical things. Even if you don't run it, I would say it's really worth finding a way to get out there and volunteer, because there's opportunities to volunteer for the live stream where you're showcasing people. And this doesn't just mean the front of the pack. This means running in with every single runner as they come down from Buffalo Park the last mile or so, putting them on camera, talking about them on the live stream. I went into the studio on Friday night, I believe. I couldn't sleep, so I just texted Chris Warden, and me and Kevin Goldberg and then Shelby Farrell ended up there, and we just were calling people running into the finish line, from Randy Zuckerberg to just all sorts of women out there. I think it and men. I think it was just really fun to get to experience that, call them in, and give them their own special moment because they fill out a little survey, and you get to talk about that and bring them into the finish and watch their dreams and emotions come true amongst the crew that got them there. So if you're looking to volunteer, there's anything from hauling drop bags and water to cooking for runners to handing out stuff to calling them and bringing them in on the live stream. So I think it's a special thing if you can get out there. You will never feel more emotion. And I think Andy Jones Wilkins, who talks about Western states a lot and how beautiful golden hour is, he can't argue that any golden hour is better than Cocodona because it literally lasts about 5 hours and people are just fighting to make it to the finish. A couple funny stories I wanted to hit on about Cocodona is there's one final aid station about 4 miles from the finish, and it's in the rougher areas of Flagstaff. And one person, a nearby resident, called in to the police that they had set up a meth cooking operation there. And that's pretty funny, thinking that these runners who've run 253 miles or so at this point, the course was a little long this year, are seeing people that look like they're on meth or cracked out or whatever term you want to use, seeing them moving down the course and thinking that they just got meth from a cook operation. So they called it Trinity Meth Lab, I believe, is what the aid station was called. And so that's pretty funny. And I know that it's not the most PC, but it's 250 miles. It's ultra running. You got to just lean into these fun things. Yeah, that's a good story. I saw Bobcat out there. I believe I mentioned that. Yeah, I mean, there's just so many good stories, whether you DNF'd or made it to the end. The whole week is about recognizing that you showed up to the start of something that's further than your brain can comprehend. So I think there's something really beautiful about that. Your time doesn't matter. I mean, you can shoot for a time, but the finish and getting to whatever finish line you happen to be looking for is really the cool thing. And for some, the start line is their finish line, getting to that thing healthy, happy, ready to go. And with the expectation of pushing their limits, that's really what it's all about. All right, this episode of the Free Outside podcast is brought to you by Janji, JANJI.com. I wore the Sun Chaser hoodie out there, even in the rain. It worked well. I wore the rain runner. I wore the Vortex gloves. I wore transit shorts. I wore a visor. I wore one of their hats, wore one of their warmer coats. There's all kinds of good stuff. So go check out that site. I wouldn't tout it and plug it if I didn't actually wear and use it and enjoy it. If I'm wearing it for a 250-mile race, it must be good. So go to janji.com, tell them I sent you, please, because that's how podcasts can grow and do better. And I would say the Vortex gloves are awesome because they're convertible. They have like a wind shell that goes over the top of them. When you run when it's cold, when it's rainy, when it's hot, they're convertible gloves. They work really good. So just go check them out. Tell them I sent you. And then Garage Grown Gear, the marketplace for small businesses. They sell everything from Alpha Direct to meals to backpacks to headlamps to power banks to all kinds of stuff. Go check them out, garagegrowngear.com. And as for me, I am taking another rest day. We are going to normalize rest days here in 2025. It's rest day streak day 4. So I might run tomorrow. I'm feeling really good, but there's no need to run. I just ran for 3 days straight. I can take a couple days off and it's good for my body. Every bit of training theory points to you should take a rest day. So run streaking, I think, is fine if that's what you need mentally. But for those that want to do things the right way, you don't need to do run streaks, especially in a busy life. If you have a bunch of time, maybe, but you don't need to force things out like that. All right, I'm putting out Substacks this week, freeoutside.substack.com, and please like and leave a review of this podcast. A 5-star review would be awesome. Let's just read some of those reviews right now. So these are the reviews from Apple Podcasts, which is the only place I believe you can actually write a review. But, I take the 5-star reviews and love them on Spotify as well. You just don't have the opportunity to write anything. So you can just put a 5-star review there. All right. This is from Jojo Dynamite. Jeff is a great storyteller. He recounts his life experiences in such interesting ways. His interviews are genuine And he sounds like a true fan of his guests instead of asking questions from a script. Wow, normalizing, what do they call it? Procrastination. No, I write a page of notes for every guest, and I don't usually end up asking anything about those guests that I wrote down, but it just gives me an insight into the completeness of the person, and so we can decide which avenues to go down, and it's super fun. I have a couple episodes recorded with people. I just didn't feel like it felt right to put those out today because I don't know, fresh off Cocodona hangover here. It's such a low after going through such a high, even if it didn't go perfect. All right, and then Nolan14 says, I had rabies a while back, and listening to Free Outside was the only cure. Whoa, that's crazy. Not sure if Jeff Garmire really exists or if this is all some sort of crazed hallucination, but either way, I'm here for it, loving every minute. Just like Mama used to say, the best words aren't spoken. The best words are podcasted. Man, his mama knows 21st century, I guess. I think my shirt might be inside out. Or, yep, it is. Okay, on that note. These are the best words. These are the words we need to hear. These are the words the wind speaks. These are the words the eagle floats upon high over the mountains. These are words, not numbers. True. We're not a big numbers podcast. I told you guys there'd be no math, and 1 year in, have I made you do math or am I living up to my word? All right. Really love and look forward to the podcast. It's a light, insightful, and playful. I always walk away feeling inspired. That's from Joy Seward. Thank you very much. And then Jay Ruger says, I've really enjoyed the podcast. Jeff has some top tier guests from the backpacking and trail running community. I also appreciate the knowledge and tips he shares from gear to hydration and nutrition. Thanks for putting this information out and keep up the good work. Awesome. And Nick Fowler, my good friend, says this pod keeps getting better. Easily one of my favorites. I'm constantly learning and getting inspired out here. Well, thanks for joining. I'd appreciate more reviews and we'll read them periodically. There's a Patreon, patreon.com/freeoutside if you want to support monetarily. But in the meantime, just shop at the sponsors. And that's kind of my why on if you should sign up for Cocodona. If you're willing to be out there for 3 days to get something done, you should be willing to be out there for 5 days because that's the gift you have. They give you all that time. You might as well be willing to use it if that's what it's going to take. So your why should be bigger than completing it. It should be about showing up to the adventure because that's what's going to fuel you through months of training, because in Bozeman, Montana, the months of training are hard. There's a lot of treadmill miles. And, I could be disappointed that I didn't live up to expectations or what my body pointed to that I would be able to do this year, but it was still my favorite year. I had so much fun with my aunt crewing, Jameson, Ross, Ari, Jeff all pacing, and then Audrey and Hannah really helping on the crew side too. It was just a really fun experience. The weather was crazy. That made it fun. And I don't know, it was just something special about this year where there was more adventure, more adversity, and came out the other side yet again, feeling fulfilled. No regrets. I couldn't do anything. It was out of my control and I just embraced the fun. And I hope that if you guys sign up for whatever you sign up for in life, that it is a fun, engaging, and interesting goal, because that is what life's all about. We only get so many years of being able to do this, so why not do it? I mean, Andy Jones Wilkins finished this thing on 2 fake hips. If he can do it, you can do it. You just gotta want to do it. All right, stay elite, my friends.